On this edition of Southern Newsweek, St Clair's protective groin could be back in place as the Dunedin City Council backs the project. Construction is finally underway for a Mataura wind farm which has been 16 years in the making. And Dunedin students are using a popular video game to digitally document the city's landmarks. Planning work around restoring a protective groin at St Clair Beach could restart after the Dunedin City Council voted to commission a new report into the high-profile project.
How much is too much for an experiment? Is it 250k?
Dunedin City Councillors stating their cases for and against a new push by Mayor Jules Raddick to advance planning on possible reinstatement of a sand-trapping groin at St Clair. The motion to commission an urgent report into the cost and timeframes of the project was passed by 11 votes to 4. But councillors spent a lot of time debating the long-standing issues of erosion at the St Clair end of Ocean Beach. Mayor Raddick quoted historical evidence while making his case, citing reports on the success of earlier wooden pole groins built on the site around 1901, 1928 and 1955.
The report said, groins at a total cost of £500, not £20,000, have not only effectively stopped erosion at the foreshore but have built up the beach from 4 to 6 feet over an area of many acres.
There was also newer evidence presented by experts who raised doubts over the effectiveness of the proposed structure. Those concerns echoed by coastal scientist Mike Hilton from Otago University.
I think it's highly unlikely that a groin at St Clair Beach would result in the accumulation of sand, which is the intention, of course.
Councillors, including Lee Vandervis and Bill Ackland, were keen to see quick action, while others, including Jim O'Malley and Steve Walker, saw future opportunities to debate the project in full once the new report is completed. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A group of Christchurch environmentalists are calling for action around an industrial site alongside the Opawaho Heathcote River. Construction's been going on for 2 years, but a tall stack of shipping containers was added over the winter.
Concerns are being raised about the impact of an industrial site in the Christchurch suburb of Woolston. Residents say this shipping container storage yard obscures their views of the Port Hills, while environmental campaigners say its proximity to the river threatens the natural habitat and wildlife.
Sediment is one of the key contaminants of the Opawa Heathcote River, and that actually the risk to the river is it clogs the habitat, so it covers the river with sediment and destroys the habitat for the organisms that live within the river.
The site's owned by property developer Richard Peebles, who co-owns Riverside Market and Little High Eatery. Construction work's been going on at the large site for nearly 2 years. Bunds surrounding the industrial site form a buffer to contain sediment, but there's concern they don't completely reduce the risk of contaminants entering the river.
Bare earth and not covered with vegetation is a potential to flow into the river, and that's why a good buffer, that's why we need these buffer zones between development and the river.
Resource consent requires the bunds to be planted with trees and shrubs to stabilise them and improve the visual impact, but that work could be years away. The City Council is already monitoring the site for excessive noise and has asked the site owner to reduce the height of the container stacks and push them back 30 metres from the riverbank. But residents won't be happy until the industrial eyesore is finally gone. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Construction is officially underway on Mercury Energy's new wind farm near Mataura. The project's been 16 years in the planning, with the backers of the wind farm finally ready to roll up their sleeves.
Putting in the groundwork for a sustainable future. Mayor-elect Ben Bell joined Phil Gibson from Mercury Energy to mark the location of a new wind turbine. Stage 1 of the project will see 10 turbines erected on the farmland near Mataura, 15 kilometres south of Gore. Project engineers are hoping the 145-metre high turbines will create enough energy to power 20,000 homes. Gore's new mayor believes it will be good for the region.
For a wind farm like this is going to be influential for our district, opening up jobs, and also great for New Zealand as well, having another renewable energy source.
The project has changed hands several times over the drawn-out planning process, but current project owners Mercury Energy are proud to back the build.
As we move into a decarbonisation window for New Zealand, this is a really important project for Mercury to show its commitment to decarbonising the New Zealand economy.
The new wind farm is considerably smaller than originally proposed, but Mercury Energy is hoping to expand the wind farm's footprint in the future. In Gore, the South Today.
A volunteer at the Riverton Coast Guard is celebrating a landmark achievement. The senior skippers kept watch over the treacherous Fovo Strait for half a century, racking up an impressive record of rescues along the way.
Veteran Coast Guard volunteer Noel Anderson checking over the rescue boat that many in this Southland seaside community rely on. The Riverton Coast Guard keep watch over a 350 nautical mile stretch of dangerous water, thanks to a staff of 20 volunteers. Anderson's one of the most experienced. He's proud of his boat and his safety record.
I've been at the sharp end of the boat on around 250 call-outs.
The sixth-generation Riverton resident was driven to join the Coast Guard as a teenager 50 years ago after helping his father rescue the crew of a capsized vessel. The clincher coming when he recognised the crew of the downed boat.
Very good local people, and it sort of stuck to my heart that if we can help people out like this all the time, I want to be part of it.
Raising funds to support the operation is always a challenge, but Anderson's been pleased to oversee improvements in other areas.
So with modern technology and education, our call-outs have dropped down to averaging around about 5 or so a year.
He believes the key to a successful rescue is communication and a good crew, and insists he has no plans to hang up the life jacket just yet. In Riverton, the South Today.
It's been a decade in the making, but children at Cromwell Primary School finally have a new hall. The multi-purpose space will assist with the growing school and is being welcomed by the community.
Central Otago Mayor Tim Cadogan cutting the ribbon to officially open the new hall at Cromwell Primary School. He told the children the opening function was a step up from his very first ribbon-cutting job as mayor.
I've been mayor for 6 years and I get to do this all the time. And the first thing that I ever opened and cut the ribbon on was a toilet.
School Principal Matthew McCormick says the hall was the latest in a series of builds addressing the school's rapidly growing role. He admits the new multi-purpose building has been a long time coming.
Well, today's a really special occasion because for about 10 long years now we've been, as a community, been working towards a vision of building a multi-purpose facility, a real world-class facility.
Traditional waiata and haka featured as part of the ceremony, followed by an instrumental version of a Nirvana rock song. The role at Cromwell Primary is knocking on the door of 400 pupils. McCormick says the new addition means they have space to develop the performing arts, along with other uses for both the school and wider community. In Cromwell, the South Today.
Some video game players could soon be visiting virtual Dunedin landmarks thanks to local school pupils. The Minecrafting Dunedin Challenge encourages students to build a digital museum of the city's architecture block by block.
It's a video game many of these Musselburgh school pupils are very familiar with. In Minecraft, players explore a blocky, 3D generated world, discovering items and building new structures and machines. Now it's getting a local makeover. These school children are being challenged with creating a virtual museum of Otipoti Dunedin City, past and present.
And what the kids have to do is they've got to research up on those buildings and then go into a Minecraft world that we have built using the topography of Dunedin.
The team behind Minecrafting Dunedin Challenge have put together a website including research from Heritage New Zealand about the city's buildings and history. The pupils are tasked with recreating local landmarks like Dunedin Prison, the Town Hall and the railway station. They'll build the structures in this video gaming world using problem solving and math skills.
For every metre there are 2 blocks. So they've got to work out how many blocks it's going to take to build that one side of the building. They have to look at the intricate features of each building as well. And there's some quite interesting Gothic buildings that we have in Dunedin.
Pupils like Ivy Young never thought they'd be playing Minecraft as part of their school lessons and say it's a great project.
Because it's fun and creative and it's like building in real life.
4 Dunedin schools have signed up so far, and it's possible Minecraft versions of Oamaru and Invercargill could also be added. The whole process could take a year, with the final virtual museum of Dunedin to be shared online with schools from around the world. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, one man is determined to walk the length of the country to raise awareness for male survivors of sexual abuse. And a Southland cyclist is celebrating after bringing home the gold for his region. Welcome back. Otago's classic car fans had a chance to see a range of rare and much-loved vehicles on the road last weekend.
A treasure trove of veteran, vintage and more recent classic cars took to the roads to showcase their vehicles on a drive around Dunedin. The event marked the 50th year of the Otago Vintage Car Club's annual Taieri Tour. Among the highlights this Saturday was this 1956 Dennis F8 fire engine. More than 140 vehicles joined the tour, finishing up at the Outram Domain for an impressive display of motoring history for members of the public to check out. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A carpenter on a personal road to healing has passed through Dunedin. Sam Troth is on a hikoi to raise awareness for male survivors of sexual abuse and says the walk is a minor challenge in comparison to what he's been through.
A man on a mission, Sam Troth is walking the length of the country from Bluff to Cape Reinga with the goal of sparking discussion about sexual violence against males. Troth is aiming to complete the marathon walk in around 55 days, although he's already encountered a few setbacks.
Mentally it's great, I'm really enjoying it. Physically it's a little bit hard work. I have copped an injury in the last couple of days which has put me up for rest for the last 2 days, but other than that, yeah, it's doable compared to surviving what I have. This walk's nothing. So,
his road to recovery started after he decided to finally speak up about the sexual abuse he suffered as a youth 25 years ago. Troth believes the support he received from a local male survivors association was crucial to his recovery and is making the walk to encourage others.
If anyone in the Otago region would need support or want support, get hold of myself or Michael Chamberlain at Male Survivors Otago.
He's also hoping to share his message with members of Parliament when he reaches Wellington. Across the South Today.
And you can keep an eye on Sam's journey by following Road to Healing Aotearoa on social media. Around 1,000 people turned out this week for a community street party in the Christchurch suburb of Riccarton, featuring live music, food and free health checks.
Riccarton's Elizabeth Street was awash with colour on Sunday, as the area was partially closed for the suburb's community street party. It's the 13th year the event has been held, with one of the organising team having a special reason for helping throw this party.
I recognise that I could have any kind of party I wanted for my birthday, but for so many individuals and families around Riccarton, they can't. And so this is a party for them.
Along with free or cheap food, there were also free health checks on offer, arranged and staffed by trained professionals.
We've just used our collective skills to just help the community out, running some free blood pressure checks. It's quite expensive to get your blood pressure done at a local general practice.
Local man Robel moved to Riccarton a year ago. He already feels part of the community and enjoyed bringing his whānau along.
Beautiful day, free food, free plant, free everything, and a lot of people having fun and happy. Yeah, and the baby he slept though, so he just woke up when we're leaving, which is good.
Organisers say the street party was a great success, with around 1,000 people joining in across the day, after disappointment last year when the event was cancelled due to COVID. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Southland Road cyclist Josh Burnett is still celebrating after becoming the first rider from the region to win the SBS Bank Tour of Southland since 1994.
Champagne celebrations for Josh Burnett, the 22-year-old claiming the winner's yellow jersey on Saturday in just his second year riding the Tour of Southland. Earlier in the day, the Southlander blitzed the 13-kilometre time trial around Winton, increasing his overall lead to 43 seconds over Australian rider Carter Bettles, heading into the final stage. More than 120 cyclists took to the roads around Southland for this year's race, with a strong contingent surviving for the last 77-kilometre stage from Winton to Invercargill. The pace was fast and furious in the crosswinds over the final stage, but there was no denying Josh Burnett a piece of history. The young rider stoked to be the first Southlander to win the Tour in 28 years.
It's special, but I've said special probably 100 times this week. I don't actually quite have the words for it yet. It's something I haven't quite thought about, and it's going to take a long time to sink in.
It capped off a good week for the boys in green, with the Creation Signs Mito Q team also winning the teams classification and George Jackson winning the King of the Mountains category. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Christchurch's Addington Raceway was heaving recently, with thousands of people flocking through the gates for the 2022 Trotting Cup. Colourful fashion and enthusiastic punters poured into the ground from late morning in what for many was a long overdue party.
Frocks, fillies and fashionistas featured at Christchurch's biggest party of the year on Tuesday.
Yeah, check it off my bucket list.
IRT New Zealand Cup Day at Addington Raceway is a big day for the city, attracting more than 15,000 punters. The celebration's even more special, as it's the first time since 2019 that the event's been fully open to the public, following COVID-19 restrictions.
New Zealand's biggest race day, IRT New Zealand Cup, so back with a full crowd after a couple of years of COVID restrictions, in particular last year where we raced behind closed doors.
The annual event is the highlight of the social calendar for many in Christchurch, even if they know little about horse racing. The party spirit beginning early with champagne breakfasts at a number of the city's eateries.
People have been hanging out for this.
Colourful fashions were pulled out of the wardrobes, with classy costumed men, women and couples competing to find the country's best dressed. Another highlight of the day was a parade of champions featuring past winners of the New Zealand Cup.
This is a parade that includes the Crusader Guardian horsemen and a number of other aspects to it, including 3 of our own champions. 3 horses that have won 7 New Zealand Cups between them.
And Christchurch's party atmosphere is set to continue throughout the week. There's more trotting at Addington Raceway this Friday at Show Day, while the Canterbury Jockey Club will be holding races at Riccarton Park on Wednesday and its own New Zealand Cup on Saturday. In Christchurch, the South Today.
After the break on Southern Newsweek, a Kaitangata rugby club drew a big crowd recently, but this time it was car enthusiasts, not rugby fans. And a Dunedin woman is expanding her spray painting skills from cars to people. The Kaitangata Rugby Club reverberated with the sound of V8 engines as car collectors and petrol heads alike gathered for the annual Kai Car Show and Run. The event drew a huge turnout, and with 600 cars, utes and bikes on show, there was something for all tastes.
From obscure collector's items through to iconic rides, more than 600 vintage, classic and enthusiast vehicles turned out for the 10th anniversary Kaitangata Car Show and Run. Among the hot rods, muscle cars and modern classics making the run from Kaitangata to Beaumont were a few rarities, including this obscure American beauty.
So this is our 1958 Ford Edsel Citation. It was the top of the line in the Edsels at the time, and Edsel is Henry Ford's eldest son.
The luxury model Ford includes some quirky design features from the atomic age.
Comes out with the electric seats, the compass in the speedometer, the push button gears, and it's a really good cruiser.
Another vehicle turning heads was this A-Team themed Chevy van, and to keep crowds entertained while they checked out the array of motoring history, there was a selection of live music and plenty of hot food on offer. In Kaitangata, the South Today.
After a 2-year COVID-enforced break, Cantabrians returned en masse to the popular New Zealand Agricultural Show. It's the townies' annual chance to get up close with farm animals and see how their country cousins do things.
The farm animals have been fed, the horses groomed and the rides are back up and running. The New Zealand Agricultural Show is back on track. 26,000 eager people had already flooded through the gates by lunchtime after a 2-year break for the show due to COVID-19 restrictions.
We have got our New Zealand Agricultural Show, bigger and better than ever before. We think our best show ever.
It's regarded as the country's biggest show of its kind. The venue draws crowds of more than 100,000 people over the 3-day event and is this year focusing on the region's youth.
Families have had a tough time, and so we really want every child in Canterbury to have the opportunity of coming to the show this year for free.
Around 2,000 animals are on show, competing for some big prizes, with more than $120,000 of prize money up for grabs.
Really happy to be back up and running, and happy for everyone, happy for the communities that have been setting up for the last 3 months, happy for the people that have been here for the last week with their animals, and everybody just wants to be back.
The New Zealand Agricultural Show runs until Canterbury Show Day this Friday. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Last weekend's Waitati Music Festival scored a coup as electronica duo Pitch Black headlined the event. The dance music duo first got together in Christchurch 25 years ago, where they returned to play a warm-up show.
Electronic music duo Pitch Black returning to where it all began, in Christchurch, and they're on a mini tour around the country. They've played in front of massive crowds in Europe, but tomorrow's gig at Bland Park, headlining the Waitati Music Festival, will be limited to 1,000 people.
Probably the biggest gig we've played is maybe 10,000 people at Big Day Out. But then there's a funny paradox that when you get onto a really big stage, that when the audience is so far away from you, like they could be 30 metres away and down, that you're delivering a bigger experience while having a smaller experience. That's kind of odd, as opposed to when people are right in your face or practically sweating over the decks.
Yeah. Pitch Black haven't performed much over the last few years. Hodgson got stuck in London in 2020 after COVID-19 closed the borders. The pair are now based in Auckland and planning to record new music, having just reworked a classic Bob Marley tune. They're looking forward to playing at the Waitati Festival after an invite from organiser Katie Peppercorn.
I was born there, but I don't think I've ever really been there, or I don't even know where it is.
The festival invitation prompted the duo to schedule a New Zealand tour, which starts on Friday night at Christchurch's Hyde Club. In Christchurch, the South Today.
The automotive world is largely dominated by men, but for the past 8 years, Dunedinite Kaya Matthews has been working hard to carve out her own place. And now the skilled automotive refinisher has found another way to direct her talents with spray paint towards an industry more commonly led by women.
She's not one to spray and walk away. Automotive refinisher Kaya Matthews planning to keep on with her day job at Collision City Panel Beaters in Mosgiel. But she's decided to pick up a different type of spray unit for a slightly different type of side hustle.
So I'm a car painter by day, like you said, and a spray tan artist at night. I've been working here now for about 1.5 years, but spraying for about 5 years. I did my time at Bridgman Street.
Matthews started K-Tan in February, where she pampers her female clientele. And while the two industries are completely different, she reckons the techniques used are quite similar. However, she admits some of the body prep work is a little different.
The key in both of them is the preparation. You know, what the paint and the coat of tan will look like really does come down to the preparation in the vehicle and the body.
Matthews says there was a time she found spray painting cars nerve-wracking, but now finds it's kind of therapeutic. And there's a bit of a crossover between her day and night jobs. The receptionist at Collision City was one of her first spray tan clients. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A major fundraising event for the Otago Community Hospice is about to make a welcome return to the roads. The charity cruise and car show brings eye-catching cars out for a good cause, with organisers encouraging people to come for a spin and show off their rides. Roaring engines and gleaming chrome. A wide range of spectacular vehicles are set to shine at the return of the Otago Community Hospice charity cruise and car show later this month. The popular event hasn't been able to take place since 2019, and organiser Ken Shoemaker is encouraging people to get out and enjoy the show.
So we're looking for
people have got a bit of car show envy and car show fever, get back into it again.
The well-oiled event is a major fundraiser for the hospice in Dunedin.
Well, anything we make is money the hospice didn't have the day before. So it'd be nice to break 10 grand this year.
The event's open to all types of cars and motorbikes, with judging categories including British, American, Japanese, along with Best in Show.
But it is a good day for people to get their toys out of the shed and have a bit of fun and meet like-minded people.
The cruise and car show takes place on Sunday the 20th of November at Hancock Park, with a convoy cruise to the Taieri set to be a highlight at the end of the day. In Dunedin, the South Today. That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mai te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.